Welcome back to another episode of Visual Effects Artist React. Today is very special because we are opening a cold case that was closed on this very couch 5 months ago.
Also, mocapping vehicles that fly through the air. Why would you do that at all? Well, we're gonna dive deep into that in this episode as well, so buckle up, get your popcorn, and put cheese on it, because this is gonna be a great episode.
What do you have, Sam?
Do you hear the sound? It's the sound of an 80s John Carpenter film.
Ooh.
Have you guys seen Escape from New York?
Oh, yes.
The name's Pliskin.
So much to love about it. There's one specific scene that's worth talking about today, and it's the glider scene. He's gonna land on the Twin Towers. Yeah, remember those? So check out these sweet 80s graphics.
Look at those vectorized lines.
Are those miniatures with like neon tape or something?
Yeah, those are miniatures.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so cool. To me, the giveaway was how organic those lines are moving. There's not any like hard 90-degree or 45-degree angles in there. It's all like very organic shapes.
They were looking to like, all right, they said, hey, we want a sweet futuristic HUD, but this is like, you know, mid-80s right now. And so they're like, yeah, we can do it wireframe, but it's not gonna be that detailed. So instead of rendering these 80s wireframes out, they're just like, screw it, let's just put this tape.
Is it actual tape or is it paint? Is it glow in the dark or just retroreflective?
There is a photo.
So whatever that paint is, it's not actually like green paint. It just looks green underneath the lights of the camera, unless it actually looks like that white in camera and they're treating it and shifting it to a greener color, because they're still doing some effects.
Yeah.
Because notice how there's a little bit of a HUD on top of that.
Yeah.
But it, like they nailed the aesthetic of this sort of like vectorized like graph line rendering.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff because look, it's the 80s, but like high fidelity graphics aren't a thing, but like people know what they look like, and we'll see coming up they actually have some renders, some actual 3D renders. But here we go.
Oh, there we go.
Now
So
we can
this
see like actual wireframes for this scene here.
Yeah.
I think the main reason why they went that route of doing it physically is because of the limitations of CG at the time. Obviously, you could do some of these sort of like line renders and whatnot, but you wouldn't be able to like articulate the entire city. You know, it's like when they actually finally do go to the wireframe render, it's just the top of one building.
Yeah.
It's just a few lines.
A flat plane.
They didn't have much RAM back then. Also, another aspect of the wireframe rendering is that it does not occlude anything behind it. So if you were to make a wireframe render of all of New York City, you would see all the buildings at once. Yeah. And that would just look like visual clutter. Right. But because they have the buildings that are black, they're blocking all the buildings behind them. So it actually gives you the image of a city.
I do love how they're showing it on those old school TVs though, which is helping with the immersion of it.
Absolutely.
Snake, how's it going out there? Do you need to call in support?
I don't trust anyone, but even I know when it's time to call in backup. Sometimes the fight isn't out there, it's in here.
That's right, Snake. And thanks to today's sponsor, BetterHelp, help is on the way.
Therapy is a safe space to share valuable intel, whether it's about stress, doubts, or anything that's dragging you down. And with BetterHelp, starting therapy is easy. You just fill out a quick questionnaire, and in as little as 48 hours, you'll be matched with a licensed therapist. And if the first match doesn't stick, switching therapists is easy. No hassle.
They got everything, Snake. Journaling tools for reflection, daily group sessions on different topics, and thousands of qualified therapists ready to help. And they've been vetted with over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5-star rating on Trustpilot. This is a service you can count on.
It's one thing to escape from New York, but if you want to escape from your own self-destructive thought patterns, you can click the link down in the description below, or go to betterhelp.com/corridorcrew and get 10% off your first month of therapy. All right, enough talk. I've got a president to save.
I want to bring something to you guys.
Like a cookie?
Like a visual cookie, I guess. This is a clip that has caused some controversy, and I want to see if you guys can spot the issue. Let me know if you see anything weird.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Hold on. Pause.
Is this the hand?
Yes.
We've looked at this already.
Wait, you've looked at it?
Yeah, this is in
What-
an episode. CG hands.
What did
Jesus
you
Christ.
guys? What did you guys decide?
The internet is misguided on what the actual CG hand is.
Or could it be that you were looking at the wrong scene? Put this one away, Christian. Let's take out the real scene.
Wait, did you know?
I believe I have the right scene. And I would like to open this cold case one more time.
Okay.
To clarify what the whole thing is, there's this rumor that went around that Daniel Craig had these gloves that he really liked and he bought them on his day off. He convinced the director that he wanted to wear them in the scene. The director's like, yeah, sure, whatever. They filmed the whole scene and then realized, wait.
There's a microdermal sensor in the grip. It's been coded to your palm print so only you can fire it.
But you're using a glove, so therefore, by your own logic in the movie, he shouldn't be able to use that gun, but he uses it.
So we can see, starting with gloves, he's taking them off.
All right, he just took his gloves off. Now he's got no gloves.
Who's got the list?
Oh, snap, that's a drop.
And that is a glove.
That is a glove, but the glove is there.
He's wearing gloves now.
Yeah, which we saw him take off the gloves.
That's just continuity.
But the whole thing, yeah, that's just a continuity thing. The rumor was that they had to replace the gloves with the hands. So did he have those gloves on through the entirety of that sequence we just saw?
That's the question.
What?
That is the question.
No, that makes no sense.
So the theory here is they replaced the hands for all the gun-holding shots only. And then we're like, okay, the rest of it makes sense even without them.
I did notice a little bit of like finger sliding in that first shot when he like goes this way. It looked like there's a little bit of like separation, like the hand and the gun were moving slight.
Yeah, I do see it.
But I don't
But
know
is
if
it
I'm
in the
just
head?
seeing an illusion.
I've watched this so many times and I'm struggling, like, am I seeing things? Because this is a lot of work if it's a CG hand, and it's a lot of really good work.
This is like literally the hardest scene in the universe to do this in too. You're like, oh yeah, let's replace his hand in this giant glassy room. I think there's a little bit of Occam's razor we can kind of rely on here. Look at the bad CG double shot at the very end of the scene. That's the quality of animation and visual effects we're dealing with here in this sequence. And to think that somehow this hand animation and rendering and lighting is so much better than this.
And like he didn't have to have the glove for the dude's hand to slip. So what I don't get is why not just do that part of the shot too, so you don't have any continuity? Because there's still a continuity mistake, despite the rumor that they CG'd his hands.
What's interesting is I have some behind the scenes footage. This shot right here, this is as close as I think we'll get.
Is he wearing freaking gloves?
I know. He is wearing gloves.
Oh my God, wait. Oh.
This is so dumb. I hate everything about this.
Wow.
It's looking like maybe they did replace his hands throughout this shot. I take issue with them not going all the way. The end of the sequence when he grabs the dude's hand, and they still have the continuity error. That's what I don't like about this. What's the point of putting in that effort? That is something they can do as a pickup with any other two random actors. It doesn't have to be your principal actor.
This is what I'm saying, CG hands or not, this is dumb.
Yes! Yes!
It's like,
Yes!
there's no being right in this situation, all right?
You know, it's only right that if new information comes to light, we give it to the people. So the question is, what side of history are you on? Leave a comment down below. Do you believe it's continuity or CG hands?
See, I want to get to the bottom of this. We gotta know. But unless we talk to the person who did the visual effects, the alleged effects.
The alleged visual effects. What even happened to the artist that worked on this? Is he even still alive? Wait, hold on. Have we never looked at this movie on this show?
We have looked at Elysium before, but you guys didn't actually look at one of the coolest things of this movie, which is the Raven. The Raven is this really sick, like, military, futuristic, VTOL chopper type thing. Is there anything that stands out to you so far?
A lot of dust and smoke.
Yeah, look at how well that dust integrates into the shot.
Was there something there when they were filming?
They filmed a real helicopter.
That's smart.
They had like one of the best like movie pilots out there. His name is Fred North. They just had a helicopter flying around, and he's such an expert pilot that he can fly close to the ground near the camera. But what that does is that it kicks up a bunch of real dust into the shot, which makes it very hard to composite in the CG elements.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you are shooting a clean plate and you are adding CG dust, the nice part about that is you can integrate your 3D model of the Raven into the simulation and then render it out so that that depth is accounted for, right? There's a fall off of that smoke as it gets closer to camera. If you are filming smoke and your background plate at the same time, there's no way to account for that fall off of density over time. Because the reality is, as you're looking through density, it's stacking up additively over time as you get further away from yourself. So integrating a CG model that is 3D into 2D footage where there is no depth is an immense challenge where you need to add now more smoke on top in order to integrate it properly.
They said it was a blessing and a curse because it certainly upped the difficulty and the challenge of doing these shots, but at the end of the day, it made for much better results. I think even more interestingly and more effective than the compositing side of things is the fact that there's something for everyone on set to react to. The cameraman is actually able to frame up the actual helicopter. He's able to frame up the helicopter and still maintain the shaky cam stuff.
And even the weight of the animation of the Raven itself. Like how it swings around in bows, you have real good reference for the helicopter weight, and then you can add all the little fancy, thrusters moving in different directions however you need to.
So Image Engine is the company responsible for the Raven shots, and I think they did a really good job, but they also ended up getting their next project from this experience.
Skyfall.
Skyfall.
They did the hands.
They did.
I knew it!
Oh, wait, is this Zero Dark 30?
This is Zero Dark 30.
Huh.
Which is a movie that you don't usually think having a lot of visual effects in.
Right.
Zero Dark 30 follows the assassination of Osama bin Laden, which is also kind of crazy that this movie came out a year and a half after that. This is a reenactment of real events. They went to Osama bin Laden's home base with these two state-of-the-art stealth hawks. They're kind of like stealth fighters, like say the F-117 Nighthawk. But they're helicopters. No one knew they existed at the time. In fact, we only have one alleged photo of them in existence, because one of them crashed.
So were they given the design blueprints for this stuff to make it look right, or were they just off of a photo?
Yeah, I don't think the CIA was like, here you go.
Here's how
we have an
works.
FBX. If what Wren is saying is true, it's like they had that one photo of the crashed one, and they probably just had to kind of guess based off of that.
Exactly. So the design is more or less inspired by the one photo of the tail rotor, and they fabricated everything else. And the helicopters in this movie actually look really dope. I'm a big fan of stealth design.
Kind of like the cybercopter a little bit.
Let's say you're the visual effects supervisor of this movie, and you're handed these sequences where it's like, all right, we need to have these fictional helicopters. What's the best way to do it? Well, coming hot off the presses of doing Elysium, they're like, you should film real helicopters. And that's what they did. They actually filmed all these sequences with Black Hawks and replaced them with Stealth Hawks. Yeah, all the smoke, all the dust, that's all being generated in the plate photography, and they're having to composite in the Stealth Hawk over the top of that. But they already immediately have reference for how the helicopter should move. They just match that. But what made this a challenge is that they specifically wanted to shoot most of the flying sequences, not just at night, but at night with no light.
Well, it's in the movie's title.
I don't know what time they're filming at, but it's not the middle of the night. It's like a dusk type area, and they're stopping down. They do all the visual effects on that, and then they grade it down, but then they're adding a LUT on top of all this to actually bring it down even further. So in the final shot, essentially, they grade it down to be the middle of the night. Now look how dark it is. You can barely even see it. It's so hard to comp this. But again, this is all grounded in reality because they're actually filming two Blackhawks flying through these areas. They also did build a full-scale version of the Stealth Hawk. All of the shots where they're getting into the helicopter and all that, that's all real, It's they actually have a physical, Stealth Hawk that they're using. And they put one on this crane, so they actually did the physical crashing of it that they ended up deeming too slow, and they ended up just replacing it all in CG anyway. What's funny is that Zero Dark 30 actually came out the year before Elysium because there weren't that many effects in the movie, and there were a lot of effects in Elysium, so that still had a long runway. And it was like they broke off the team that did the Raven shots from that movie, and then they immediately started working on Zero Dark 30, and then that movie came out, and then Elysium came out the next year.
Are there any films or shows that we have covered on the show but missed something so good that we should have showed it? Well, let us know in the comments.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you next week in another one. In the meantime, eat.
Eat.
Eat.